Hare Krishna. A lot of Govindas here also. So, what should we speak about? Maybe we can have a general topic, or that we sort of start off on. And if everybody puts all their on mute, yeah. So we see. I don't know if Radha Krishna Dasi is on mute, because then it's good not having Siddhartha. Okay. Uh,
We have questions, Guru Maharaj, from a few devotees. Maybe would you like them to start that off, and then maybe a topic could come from that?
okay, let's see. Let's see what's there.
Okay. Dalni Thai Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes,
I can,
we can.
just sort of, yeah.
Question I have is to do with the pastime with Krishna entering Mathura. He was 12 years old when he entered Mathura, and when he met Kubjā, Kubjā is a fully grown woman, and their exchange is very adult. So I just wondered, does Krishna sort of mystically grow into a more adult personality in such situations?
Krishna's 11 years and some months. And then, I don't know where do I write it in Krishna Sangati, and I write it in Navavraja Mahima, that Vishwanath Jiva Goswami and other acharyas explain how Krishna, although Krishna is young, that many years in terms of our calendar year, but his actual aging is 50% more. So therefore, when he goes to Mathura, because Krishna never really leaves Vrindavan, and when he's in Vrindavan, he's at the end of the Kaishore age, or the third part of the Kishore, and so Navayovana is that age at which Krishna eternally stays. We say that it's 16 years old. So, and someone's really got a lot of noise in the background, a lot of banging, and so many things. So that's so yes, that's a very nice way of saying it. Krishna has very adult exchanges, and that's it. Even when Krishna's 125 years old, he looks 16 years old. So when he's 12, he looks 16, and when he's 100, he looks 16. That is, I don't know if you remember, that's the prime of life.
I don't remember, Guru Maharaj.
Rajasundar, you remember?
Too long ago.
It's the prime of life. So, and of course, because he's eternally that age, so even though he's eternally youthful, still he's although very, very experienced, and everything's in the sort of eternal category. And it's an interesting topic. You know, Krishna's consorts are three. One is at least Krishna's consorts. Then there's the queens, the Lakshmis, but they're not Krishna's consorts. They're Lord Narayan's consorts. there's gopīs, there's Kubjā, and those who are of Kubja's ilk. Uh, hey, someone recording this?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, Nimai would be recording it.
Okay, just so I can get a copy of it, because I couldn't do all of that. And there are a whole bunch of devotees here. Now I'm just gonna say hello to and it's we're talking about
The three kind of consorts that Krishna has.
Yes, gopīs, Kubjā, and people who want to be like Kubjā. Gopīs, Kubjā, and company, and someone's moving around, and queens, and there's a difference. I'm just three types of sort of love for Krishna. And Kubja's love, well, it's called praya. It's almost love, because it's quite selfish. She loves Krishna for her own pleasure. In other words, when people want to serve Krishna, and particularly when they attain that stage of service, conjugal service, it's for their own benefit. So Krishna's very good looking. He's a very asking young man, and Kubjā was a hunchback, but Krishna made hunchback. He made her into a very beautiful girl, and when she became very beautiful, then she became very attracted to Krishna, and then Krishna told her, "I'll come back sometime later," but now he had things to do. Jai Shri Shivara Damodar Ki Jai. And so she went and killed Kamsa and Kuvalyapida and so many other things. So that's all part of the Leela. And then after he went to Gurukula, when he came back, then with Uddhava, he went to Kubja's home. So that type of prema is for one's own satisfaction. The love of the queens is they want to, for Krishna's pleasure and for their pleasure, mixed. To different degrees, but it's mixed. They also want to love Krishna, and they do love Krishna, but their very extreme attachment to Krishna has some tinge of spiritual, transcendental selfishness. And then the gopīs, they have unalloyed love. That's why Prabhupada uses this word. In other words, they don't want their own pleasure. So astishava pinastumam madarshanam mama hatam karotuva yata tatava vidatu lampato matprana natastu saeva natvara. So Krishna reciprocates, or if he doesn't reciprocate, if he likes me or he doesn't like me, but still he's my worshipable Lord. So that's the perfection of prema. And even amongst the gopis, there will be degrees of love. There will be very, very intense. There will be lesser, and there will be even lesser. Because it's about variety. There's variety. Someone's got their microphone on and there's noise and talking going on. So those are the different types of gopis. Those are the different types of queens, and that is Kubjā. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamalayor Das Das and Das. That we want to cultivate that type of love, which is just for Krishna's pleasure. So it's a pretty tall order, and as you may have noticed, our conditioned nature is very, very strong. And therefore, sometimes we like to serve Krishna before it's good for us. Sometimes we like to serve Krishna so that, some for him, some for me. And the real perfection, or what qualifies really as prema, is simply for Krishna's pleasure. And that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants us to learn. And that's what he came to give. He's giving us the means to attain that. And then we have to work in order to do that. Yes, I'd be able to concentrate a lot better if everyone had their mute on, because there's still all these sort of movings around and things going on. Do we know who it is? Vaishnav? So we can just disconnect them.
Yeah, I've messaged them not to mute, but
plus I gotta compete here with the dogs and everything.
Nimai, he's the organizer and he can mute everyone.
Yeah, I'm messaging him also, and not getting through.
Oh, Nimai's not online. Forget about Nimai.
Okay, I'm just going to call the number. And I'll get to mute.
Anyway, you don't have to call the number. It's all right. Any devotees have any particular question? Questions?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Dakshaja Krishna Prabhu had a question.
No, just about what we were
Oh,
talking
that's it. Okay, sorry.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, I had a question that's in line with what you were just saying, and it was about the gopis and their desire only to have Krishna's pleasure and for Krishna to be happy. And my question was, in Krishna Sangati, when it's described when Uddhava comes to the gopis with his letter, specifically to Radharani, and then one of Radharani's Sakhis sends a response, and that response is describing Radharani's condition. And then at the end of that response, it says that Radharani is not able to remain even a moment within your heart because it's as cold as ice. And so what my question is, how do we understand this type of response if they want Krishna's pleasure and happiness, and those words and that response is quite harsh and painful to hear?
You have to chant Hare Krishna. You have to chant Hare Krishna. Because one thing is understanding things from the perspective of philosophical truths, and then something else is actually understanding rasa. Everything that they do is to increase Krishna's pleasure. Increasing Krishna's pleasure doesn't mean just speaking nice things to him. It's also things that make him feel the weight of separation, which happens when as he actually sees how much others are also suffering, and that also makes him suffer. But that suffering has with it extraordinary type of happiness as well. And that's not something that's comprehensible from our perspective, but we get that understanding from description of the acharyas. So Krishna's happiness, Srimati Radharani's happiness, the whole Leela unfolds, and happiness increases as we've spoken before, when there's meeting and when there's separation. Sometimes there's praise, sometimes there's criticism, and these things in the long run are increasing Krishna's pastimes, enriching Krishna's pastimes, enriching Krishna's enjoyment. So it's there. They say things about Krishna. There are many things being said about Krishna. Some are in joking, some are derogatory things or things like that. Your heart is cold as ice. But it's all in order to increase that understanding, appreciation, Krishna is able to appreciate Srimati Radharani's love more and more. And by doing that, then he becomes enriched. Anything else?
Thank you.
I need, I'm trying to track down who's the criminal making all the noise. Hard for me to concentrate, especially on subjects like that. If you want me to really be able to fix my mind, then I've already got enough distractions going on behind me. And then so that I can actually concentrate. Anything else along these points? These are sort of relevant points in one sense. They're really quite elevated topics, but this is specifically what later Bhagavatam is about, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, and devotees should know these things. At least devotees who are brahmanas, devotees who have been practicing Krishna consciousness 50, 20 years, 15, 20 years. And not necessarily for bhaktins and bhaktas or people who don't really know Bhagavad Gita and haven't read the Bhagavatam. And that's why sort of the mixed audience really restricts conversations and discussion. So Prabhupada would very, sometimes give some kind of downing response. He says, well, that's not for you, or that's sometime later. Because one needs to have qualification in order to understand the development of Krishna consciousness and its more fuller forms and expanded form. But ultimately, that's where devotees need to go. That's our destination. I had interesting Istagosti, hour and a half long Istagosti with devotees where I was just there in Sambat Bay. Not about these things, but just about what it meant to be a devotee, to be responsive, to be sort of encouraging. Anyway, it was in Hungarian, so only the Hungarian speakers are going to be able to follow it. Anything else on this?
Right, can I make one more question on that subject?
Yeah.
I'm just curious about when Krishna was having this exchange with Kubjā, that Balaram was there and the cowherd boys were there. And I just wondered, with the cowherd boys, were they in the mentality of being 12 years old, or were they able to appreciate the exchange on a more adult level?
Well, they know that Krishna meets with gopīs. They're not privy to any of that. And of course, Kubjā was just courting Krishna, and that was all that was going on. And Krishna cut it short. He said, "Yes, I certainly must come and visit you sometime," which then he did with someone who understood what he was doing, who was Uddhava. So, and Krishna was sort of training Uddhava so that he can actually see the different levels of conjugal love. He sent them to Vrindavan to learn from the gopīs. He then had brought him with him to Kubjā. That's very interesting. There wasn't so much written by acharyas, but they were there for 3 days. So they stayed overnight. And then, of course, other than that, Uddhava lived in Dwarka. And so he saw the queens, and he knew what the queens were doing. So cowherd boys have a very sort of distant understanding of what goes on. For instance, Gop Kumar says that, he knows, well, when Krishna left at night and what he did, I didn't know. And that was it. That was his level of understanding. That okay, or anything further?
That was wonderful, Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
Yeah, one thing is to go horizontal, the other one is to go vertical. In other words, one thing is one question after the other question on different topic. And nice thing is to actually go further and go deeper. I'd really be able to go deeper if whoever it is that's trying to do something at the same time with their speaker on wasn't doing it. One is that it's distracting, but the other, it really confuses me why, I assume whoever's online knows English, why they can't do that sort of minimum level of respect or technical savvy to look and see whether their telephones are on, mute or not. And we should know these things. We should try to understand. We should try to understand why our acharyas have actually explained these for us. And ultimately, by knowing that, one should have the proper type of aspiration. Here, I will read you something that someone just sent me this morning. Prabhupada says on a lecture in Vrindavan in 1972, he says, the more you're engaged in devotional service, the more your sense becomes pure, uncovered. And when it is completely uncovered, without any designation, then you are capable to serve Krishna. This is apprenticeship, Vaidhi Bhakti. That is apprenticeship. Real Bhakti, Parabhakti, is Raganuga Bhakti. This Raganuga Bhakti comes after surpassing Vaidhi Bhakti. It's not something artificial. You can't force anything that's spontaneous, but at the same time, we should recognize the need for us to really purify our hearts and our natural taste and appreciation for Krishna consciousness and for Krishna should be increasing, especially for those who are serious practitioners. It should be increasing. And as Prabhupada here says, that following devotional service according to rules and regulations, that's apprenticeship. Apprentice, interesting word that Prabhupada uses. Apprentice is someone who's actually a helper to an expert. That's what an apprentice is. It means that you're trying to learn something. You're trying to learn a science. You're trying to learn a science, but you're not really adept as yet. So you watch, you hear, you see, and by being very attentive and by following the master, because then there's the master, whether it be someone's who knows, someone's a master builder, or he's an artist, or he's a musician. Usually apprenticeship is something to do with some kind of sort of cottage industries, a potter or something. Then by watching, it starts to become very natural. It starts to become very spontaneous because you've gone past learning all the rules. You have to, just like potting. I remember when we used to do parikrama. May remember when we do Vrindavan parikrama. Abhimanyu remember when we come just coming out of on the other side of Govardhan. Govardhan parikrama, coming out of Govardhan town, and we would go through a marketplace, and then you would make a strong right. And right on the corner, there was a potter who would be making these little cups. Anyone remember that? Dayal? Rajasundari, you remember? He's not there anymore. It's now an empty space. I'll imagine they'll build something there pretty soon. But he was there, he was a potter, and he would just sit there and, you know, he just take this piece of clay, and the thing would be going around and around the potter's wheel, and he just put his fingers and out it would come like that. In other words, he didn't have to, okay, now pay attention, and this is how you hold it, and you have to spin it at this speed, and don't go too fast, and don't go too slow. And the clay, well, it can't be too wet, or it'll fall apart. It can't be too dry, or it'll disintegrate. You can't make pot. And so when you got it right, then it's like cooking. Once you know how to cook, then everything comes naturally. The spices, the timing, the vegetables, everything happens just right. So, apprentice and master. So Srila Prabhupada says, apprenticeship is connected with you learn all the rules. Once you really learn the rules, then you don't follow because of the rules. You follow because I wanted to become a potter. And so I'm giving my heart to that art of pottership. And once I know all the rules and they're like sort of second nature, then the real taste of what I'm doing starts to come. So same thing with chanting Hare Krishna, same thing with all aspects of devotional service. it comes very, very naturally. And then Prabhupada says, this is actually real bhakti. In other places, Prabhupada calls, interestingly, calls Vaidhi Bhakti neophyte devotion, or beginning, or beginner's devotion. So, and because if we want actually the kind of love that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the direction that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's line is going in, by line I mean his teachings and the disciplic succession, then that line requires that love has to be spontaneous. You can cultivate love and develop love just inspired not particularly by the rules, but the rules actually transforms into awe and veneration, respect, the realm of Vaidhi, the realm of majesty is Vaikuntha. So if one doesn't cultivate real attachment, but simply follows because of the rules and regulations, because this is supposed to be done, then they also achieve perfection, but it's a different destination. And that destination is the place of Lord Narayana. And then there's also different mixtures of all of these. If you have a mixture of regulative service and spontaneous service, then that's the love of Dwarka. That's the reciprocation of Dwarka. And then beyond that is the realm of Vrindavan. And Vrindavan is just spontaneous. Spontaneous meaning that they actually just love Krishna, neither because they have to, neither because he's God, but because of his personality. So in that sense, Kubjā's love is considered love because she didn't love Krishna because he was God. She loved Krishna for who he was. She wanted to enjoy Krishna for who he was, not because he was the Supreme Personality of God. That she didn't know any of that. It's all in Nectar of Devotion. What I'm talking about, it's in Srimad Bhagavatam, it's in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, it's in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And that mood of devotional service, when you read the beautiful things that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing the same thing. I'm just going into Chaitanya Charitamrita here, so I don't know whether you can see me or not. And Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila, Sri Chaitanya, for instance, the inconceivable behavior of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are many different places. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Gambhira, and in Gambhira he was with Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar. So there were no distractions. Thank goodness that distraction has stopped finally after 40 minutes. And there were no distractions there. There were people who were qualified to hear. So here, Kaviraj Goswami says, suddenly there awoke within Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the scene of Lord Krishna's departure to Mathura, and he began exhibiting the symptoms of ecstatic madness known as Udghurna. Um, are these things just to be read, or are these things to be known? Now, what is Purana? And they're there particularly in the development or in the next stage of bhakti described in Ujjvala Nilamani. Then this is also described. But it's things that we're meant to know. At least those devotees who have time on their hands, for instance, Pundarik Prabhu, Hare Krishna Dasi, they have nothing to do except chant Hare Krishna and read. They're very fortunate. Anyway, Palika also, she also has that good fortune. That's why we also need to retire at some point so we can actually become absorbed. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke like a madman, holding Ramananda Roy by the neck. And he questioned Swarup Damodar, thinking him to be his gopi friend. So you can see the scene. He's holding Ramananda Roy by the neck, and he's looking at Swarup Damodar, who's obviously there, and he's concerned, and he's inquisitive. Just as Srimati Radharani inquired from her personal friend, Vishaka, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, reciting the very verse, began speaking like a madman. This is a very, very well-known verse. It's so well-known that I don't know it, but I've heard it often. Kvananna kula chandra ma, kwa sikhi chandra kalakriti, kwa mandara mulari rava, kwanu surendra nilajjiti, kwa rasa rasa tandavi, kwa sakhi jiva rakshav sharir, nidhir mama surittama, kwa bata hantaha digvidim. Isn't it? My dear friend, this verse is found in Lalita Madhava. My dear friend, where is Krishna, who's like the moon rising from the ocean of Maharaj Nanda's dynasty? Where is Krishna, his head decorated with a peacock feather? Where is he? Where is Krishna, whose flute produces such a deep sound? Oh, where is Krishna, whose bodily luster is like the luster of the blue Indranila jewel? Where is Krishna, who is so expert in rasa dancing? Oh, where is he who can save my life? Kindly tell me where to find Krishna, the treasure of my life and the best of my friends. Feeling separation from him, I hereby condemn Providence, the shaper of my destiny. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes this verse. Beautiful verse, isn't it? And even the Sanskrit. Kwa ananda kula chandrama, kwa sikhi chandra kalakriti, kwa mandra murali rava, kwanu surendran nulajjiti, kwa rasa rasa tandavi, kwa sakhi jiva raksho shadir, nidhir mama surittama, kwa bata hantaha dikvidim. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sings, Rajendra Kula Dugha Sindhu, Krishna Tahi Purna Indu, Janmi Kaila Jagata Ujjavara. Kanti Amrita Jiva Priye, Nirantara Priye Jiye, Vraja Janera Nayana Chakora. The family of Maharaj Nanda is just like an ocean of milk, wherein Lord Krishna has arisen like the full moon to illuminate the entire universe. The eyes of the residents of Braj are like chakora birds that continuously drink the nectar of his bodily luster and thus live peacefully. Sakhi Kota Krishna Karaha Darshana, Kshane Ke Yahara Mukha, Nadekile Pate Bukha, Shigra Dekhaha Naraha Jivana. Palika, can you understand anything I'm saying? Does it resemble Bengali at all? I'm talking about Palika Ghosh, who's...
Yes, Guru Maharaj, not all of it.
Okay, I thought so. Well, that's doing pretty good. I thought
Thank,
you would able to stand any of it.
thank you.
Okay. Oops, where are we? Here we are. My dear friend, where's Krishna? Kindly let me see him. My heart breaks at not seeing his face even for a moment. Kindly show him to me immediately, otherwise I cannot live. That's when we read that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, I think I quoted it the last time. When we read this, then we should also buy contact, just like if you come close to fire, you get hot. Similarly, if you come close to the moods of desire to see Krishna, then we also have our desire to see Krishna. Otherwise, we desire to see so many other different things. Evrajeda Ramani, Kamar Katapta Kamudini, Nija Karamrita Diyadhan, Prafulita Kwareje, Kahan Mora Chandrashe, Dekha Sakhi, Raka Mora Pran. The women of Vrindavan are just like lilies, growing hot in the sun of lusty desires. But moonlight Krishna makes them all jubilant by bestowing upon them the nectar of his hands. Oh, my dear friend, where's my moon now? Save my life by showing him to me. So as I mentioned before, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going deep. It's closed. No, it's not. It's open. It's open. Kahan se chudara thama shikti pinchera udana nava mege jena indra danu pitambara tadidyuti muktamala baka panti nivam buddha jini shama tanu. My dear friend, where's that beautiful helmet with a peacock feather upon it like a rainbow upon new cloud? Where are those yellow garments shining like lightning? And where's that necklace of pearls that resemble flocks of ducks flying in the sky? The blackish body of Krishna triumphs over the new blackish rain cloud. Ekabara jara nayane lagi, Sharatara Riddaye Jagi, Krishna Tanu Jena Amra Ata. Nari Mane Paishehaya, Yatne Nahi Bahiraya, Tanu Nahi Shreya Kulera Kanta. If a person's eyes even once capture that beautiful body of Krishna, it remains always prominent within his heart. Krishna's body resembles the sap of the mango tree, for when it enters the minds of women, it will not come out, despite great endeavor. Thus, Krishna's extraordinary body is like a thorn of the Seya berry tree. Anyway, and it goes on. More and more that we, and this is how it transpires, this is how that type of bhakti that Srila Prabhupada talks about manifests the more that we read. That's why Prabhupada selectively gave us these books, Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So he called Bhagavad Gita ABC, says it's the general school course. Bhagavatam is like the university or master's degree, and Chaitanya Charitamrita is the postgraduate study. And we're here in the school, and we're meant really to be studying and entering into the realms of devotion. Bhakti, Rasa, Amrita, Sindhu. So it's a Sindhu, it's an ocean. Bhakti, Rasa, Amrita. It's an ocean of nectar. It's an ocean of nectar, but what is it? What kind of nectar is it? It's ras. It's bhakti ras. It's an ocean of rasa, bhakti ras, of which we can taste the nectar if we actually enter into that wonderful transcendental science. So hearing. That's our business, is to hear. And unfortunately, sometimes we're so preoccupied with other things. And that's why young people, they should build their lives around, if they're serious about becoming Krishna conscious, about being able to hear. Hearing and chanting. That should be our priority. And when that's the priority, everything else gets adjusted according to that. Okay, we need to finish settling in over here because I scared off the unpackers, and we need to complete unpacking. And well, there's Janmashtami is happening soon. In fact, it's happening in 2 weeks, a little shy of 2 weeks. So I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything. And then after the following weekend, I'm in Romania with the festivals, so I'm not going to be able to do anything there. The following weekend is Vadastami Festival. So if we want to do something, I would suggest something like we may end up traveling again the 29th.
What about 20th, 21st?
Huh?
What about 20th, 21st September, that weekend?
September? I'm talking about August.
Oh, you're talking about August. Okay, great.
Just talking about the 29th of August.
That'll be great, Guru Maharaj, if you can do it at the same time.
We're driving up to Debrecen, and then next day we're driving to Romania. So we'll try and arrive there in time. And yeah, if we have nice and quiet, then I can concentrate as it was. It was when we arrived, it was really sort of busy and hectic. So yes, thank you. We can ask questions, or we can rather go deeply into topics. On the other hand, there are devotees who may consider that these subjects are still a little beyond them. Anyway, our apologies for that, at least even if they don't really understand, but by hearing is still purifying. And that's our business, somehow or another, to hear. Okay, anyone planning to come here, by the way, on Janmashtami? Except for Hungarians, Radhastami.
I'm coming for Radhastami, Guru Maharaj.
That was, who said that?
Nimai Sundar.
Nimai is coming, and then Danudar indicating that he's coming, and And then I saw
Janava Priya's got her hand up.
Janava's there.
She's
What is that? Just a hand?
No, I'm here completely, but going for Radhastami. We're going to be on the farm.
Okay, fantastic. And then the deviant Jalpotas. What part of the universe are you in right now? Can't hear what you're saying.
We're in England, Guru Maharaj.
Okay, are you planning to come back at some time?
Yeah, we are both coming just the 20th, just before Janmashtami.
Okay. Okay, thank you all very much. And then we'll see you all next time.
Okay.
Krishna Guru Maharaj.
What is it so much?
Thank you, everyone.